Yeah, good morning. Good morning. I am very thankful for this opportunity to give this webinar on the very interesting topic called vapor absorption machine as well as heat pump, which has a very good potential in the sugar industry. Thank you for that matter to HKI team who has arranged presentation. Okay, even though the timing given is around 2 hours, I'll try to complete the presentation in 40 to 45 minutes so that we can have a good amount of time left for the question answer session so that no questions will left unanswered. I'm starting the presentation now. As mentioned in the my introduction itself, I represent the cooling division of Thermax for Northern India. In the there are actually two methods for by which we can generate a chilled water or a brine which is below 0 degree, and these two methods are nothing but one is the vapor compression cycle, which is a traditional cycle which is used almost everywhere in the globe, and the other cycle is vapor absorption machine. The vapor absorption cycle basically works on the heat principle, whereas the compression cycle works on the high grade energy, which is nothing but the electricity. Now I will just tell you slightly about the types of vapor absorption machine. Based on the heat input, we can define it in two categories majorly. One is direct fired and second is the indirect fire. In indirect fire, there is categories like hot water and the steam driven. Apart from that, there will be a direct exhaust gases from gas engine, gas turbine or oven recovery gases, which will be more than 150, 200 degrees centigrade. This is all in the indirect fired mode. Whereas in direct fired, there will be a possibility of burning liquid fuel or gaseous fuel. We cannot take solid fuel into this furnace. It is only liquid and gaseous fuel, which can be a LPG, CNG, special kerosene and high-speed diesel. So this is based on the heat source input. Also, we can define it in the terms of number of stages like single effect and double effect. In single effect, the concentration gain of lithium bromide happens in only one stage, that is in one generator itself. That is the reason it is termed as single effect cycle. Whereas in double stage, the concentration gain happens in two separate generators. The vapor which has been coming out from the first generator, that itself is used as the heat source in the second generator, because of which actually the efficiency of the entire cycle improves. So going by efficiencies, the single effect cycle, the COP, coefficient of performance, because this is a terminology which is used in the refrigeration cycle, the COP for single effect cycle is maximum 0.74, whereas the COP for double effect cycle is 1.42. Apart from that, even though the third cycle is not mentioned in this presentation, there is a triple effect cycle which Thermax has pioneered into it, and we are the only company in the entire globe who is presented and successfully installed this triple effect machine in nearby area of Delhi itself. The efficiency or the COP of this triple effect cycle is 1.7. Based on the refrigerant and the absorbent combination, it can be also defined into two separate products. One is lithium bromide water cycle, in which lithium bromide is used as the absorbent and water is used as the refrigerant. In ammonia water cycle, ammonia is used, aqua ammonia is used as a refrigerant and water works as a absorbent. Today we are not discussing anything on ammonia water cycle because this cycle is typically used for minus applications like -20, -10, -15 degree brine application. Coming to a sugar industry, the application is majorly for lithium bromide water cycle. This cycle can work up to -2 degree brine on chilled water side. In sugar industry, -2 will not be an application, but something like 7 degree, 10 degree, which is an air conditioning load or the process load, can be given through this vapor absorption machine through lithium bromide water cycle. This is the entire working. I will be covering a couple of slides on how vapor absorption machine works with lithium bromide and water as an refrigerant. So this is a slide which shows that this circle is nothing but the lower shell, and the left side is nothing but the evaporator evaporator and the right side is the absorber. In the evaporator, this blue color is shown by the chilled water. So the process water or the water which is coming from the air handling unit from your control room, VFD room areas where a certain temperature is supposed to be maintained throughout the year. So for example, 12 degree water is entering from the air handling unit to this chiller, which is supposed to be cooled at 7 degree, and it should go back again to air handling unit. There it will exchange the heat with the humid and warm air so that the air temperature will be close to 20-25 degrees centigrade. So the refrigerant will come, the refrigerant is coming from the condenser and the refrigerant is getting sprayed on the tubes. There will be tubes in which this chilled water will be circulated. As the water itself is refrigerant in this lithium bromide water cycle, and as we are saying, the heat is to be taken from this 12 degree or 7 degree water, which is nothing but the chilled water. The refrigerant should boil below 7 degree. And being water as a refrigerant, it cannot boil below 7 degree till the time we bring it under vacuum. That is the only reason why this entire vapor absorption cycle works under vacuum. The lower shell, typically the vacuum level in this shell is close to 6 mm of Hg, that is on the absolute scale. At this pressure, the boiling point of water is 3.7 degrees centigrade. So to boil a water at 3.7 degrees centigrade, 7 degree or 10 degree or 12 degree chilled water is a good heat media. So after taking the heat from the chilled water, the water which is a refrigerant, now here onward I will say only refrigerant because there are a lot of streams which are water itself. So the refrigerant will start boiling by taking heat from this 12 degree water, and after boiling the evaporated refrigerant will go to the absorber. There will be louvers in between. With the help of louvers, the separation is done in this shell between evaporator and absorber with the help of louvers. The only vapor portion can go to the absorber. The liquid will remain at the bottom side of this evaporator itself. So with the help of this evaporation of refrigerant, the chilled water temperature will drop down. So based on the design, we can decide what is the entry temperature of chilled water, and as a result of the design of this vapor absorption machine, we can get the resultant temperature. Say for example, for air conditioning application, it will be a 7 degrees centigrade. So with the heat taken from this 12 degree water, the refrigerant will evaporate, and resultantly we will get a 7 degree water, which is an application area. Now this vapor evaporated, the refrigerant vapor will go towards the absorber. In the absorber, again there will be a concentrated lithium bromide, which is nothing but the absorbent. The concentration level of this lithium bromide will be close to 64%. There is a strong affinity between lithium bromide and the water vapor, that is the refrigerant. Lithium bromide is the same category of the halogen family like NaCl. And there is always a strong affinity for this lithium bromide as well as NaCl towards the water vapor. So the water vapor will react with LiBr, this is lithium bromide, and this is an exothermic reaction. So just to maintain the efficiency of the cycle and to maintain the lithium bromide efficiency of absorption, we give cooling water first to the absorber. This is a cooling water entry, and it will go after taking the required heat from the absorption cycle so that the efficiency will be intact and the vacuum level will be maintained. Because initially to maintain the 6 mm vacuum, we use the vacuum pump. Afterwards, the moment the machine is in a running condition, there will not be a requirement of continuously maintaining vacuum through vacuum pump. Afterwards, this absorption cycle itself works as a suction. It creates the suction because this liquid lithium bromide will absorb the vapor, and because of that the vapor gets condensed. Because of condensation itself is condensation itself creates vacuum, and it will maintain the vacuum so that the vapor which is coming from the evaporator side will automatically come to the absorber. So in a running condition it will be a continuous process. In the result, the lithium bromide, which is originally in around 64% concentration, now after absorbing the water vapor refrigerant, its concentration will come down. So we termed it as a lean solution or dilute solution, and the exothermic heat will be taken away from this cooling water. So the cooling water which is coming from the cooling tower, considering the location of Delhi, it can enter at around 32 because it is again a property of the wet bulb temperature. At the different places, based on the wet bulb temperature, this cooling water entry to this machine can be 30 degree, 32 degree, 34 degree. So this required temperature cooling water will enter into this absorber, take away the heat of exothermic reaction, and typically comes with a delta T of 3 to 4 degrees. So for example, 32 degree cooling water is entering at absorber. It will take away the heat and it will come out at around 34-35 degree. Then the same water will enter into condenser for removing the condensation heat. I'll come to that later. Now this lean solution or the dilute solution, with the help of absorbent pump, we are pumping it to the high pressure and the high temperature generator. In the generator, we are actually using the live steam or hot water, any heat source that is getting used into the generator only. So based on the heat source, we term this machine as steam fired vapor absorption machine, exhaust fired vapor absorption machine, hot water fired vapor absorption machine, or direct fired vapor absorption machine. So this terminology is based on the type of heat which is getting utilized into this generator. Considering a waste steam or the low pressure steam which will be coming from the turbine section of the sugar industry, or even though there is no power generation happening in sugar industry, it can be a condensate, fouled condensate which is coming from the condenser side of the power plant, or it is a live steam which is getting generated from the bagasse fired boilers. So this steam we can use to boil the lithium bromide which contains refrigerant. So the boiling will be in such a way, only refrigerant will get evaporated from this section and the lithium bromide will be once again bring back to its original concentration of 64%. So that the same concentrated lithium bromide we can once again use it into the absorber section, and the cycle will be on a closed circuit for lithium bromide. Whereas the refrigerant which is evaporated from this section will go to the condenser side. So this refrigerant which is coming from this generator portion is entering into the condenser now. In the condenser, there will be cooling water. Actually, this cooling water is coming from this absorber side itself. So considering 32 degree entry to absorber, 35 degree outlet from this absorber, the same 35 degree will enter into condenser and take away the heat of condensation, and the resultant temperature of this cooling water will be close to 38. This 38 degree cooling water will go to the cooling tower, and in cooling tower its temperature will be cooled down to say 32. And then again the 32 degree water will enter into absorber to take away this heat of absorption. So this is how the entire vapor absorption, lithium bromide based vapor absorption cycle works. This is a typical presentation of single effect cycle where the lithium bromide is getting concentrated in a single generator. If there are two generators, then it is termed as a double effect, in which there will be certain pinch technologies which is getting utilized in this cycle itself, so that we can effectively increase the COP from 0.74 to 1.4. And in triple effect, there will be three generators instead of this one generator. The concentration gain will happen in three separate generators, and the efficiency or the COP will come to a level of 1.73. This is how entire vapor absorption cycle works under lithium bromide water as in refrigerant. So continuously we will be generating chilled water at required temperature. Continuously we will be sending the cooling water heat into cooling tower, and continuously there will be a steam or the heat source which is getting consumed. So depending on the requirement of the chilled water, so for example, if the requirement is lower compared to the actual capacity, if 100 TR machine is running at 50 TR, so the chilled water inlet temperature instead of 12 degree it will come down to 10 degree or 9 degree. So the machine PLC, which is the Siemens PLC or Allen Bradley PLC, it will just that the temperature is lower to the inlet and we are easily achieving the outlet temperature of 7 degree. So it will automatically control the steam control valve in the heat source. If it is a steam, if it is a hot water, then the three-way control valve of a hot water inlet to the machine will be adjusted in such a way the only required heat will come to the generator, so that the efficiency of these machines on part load is also improved. And there is the electrical consumption of this machine will contribute because of this absorbent pump. There will be a refrigerant pump at the bottom of the evaporator. Certain amount of refrigerant which is still in the liquid form will again get circulated through this pump, which is not shown in this slide, but there will be a refrigerant pump which will consume close to 0.7 kilowatt of electricity. This absorbent pump will depend on the capacity of the machine. For example, for 100 TR machine, it will consume close to 1.1 kilowatt. For 500 TR machine, it will consume close to around 3.5 kilowatt. And there will be a vacuum pump which will be 0.3 kilowatt. Sorry, the vacuum pump will be 0.7 kilowatt and the refrigerant pump will be 0.3 kilowatt in capacity. So for a 100 TR capacity, the power consumption is not more than 3 kilowatt for the entire vapor absorption machine. Conventional system, the drawbacks of conventional systems are alternative energy source cannot be used. So it is a electrical machine. The compressor will run only on the electricity for all these conventional compressor based electrical chillers. So there cannot be alternative source of electricity. If electricity is not there, either you have to operate your diesel generator to generate that required electricity, which will cost you close to 12 rupees, 13 rupees in today's scenario. Again, it consumes costly, and as it has been mentioned well, electricity itself is nowadays there is a limitation on the supply itself, and the quality of electricity is also depending on the location and whether it is an 11 kV grade or 33 kV grade. All this will come into picture. Again, the electrical chillers nowadays they have improved from CFC, because CFC is banned in so many countries, and as per the Kyoto Protocol, it is not supposed to be used in any electrical chiller which is newly designed, or if you want to buy something nowadays, it will not be CFC. This is chlorofluorocarbon based chillers are banned in so many countries. Now they are considering HCFC, hydrochlorofluorocarbons. Even though there is a slight ozone depletion potential because of HCFC also, or even it gives global warming, still they are using HCFC in so many places. Whereas vapor absorption machine, as it works on the water as a refrigerant, water has no impact on global warming, as well as there is no impact on the ozone depletion. Being compressor, it's a moving equipment. There is a high level of operating as well as maintenance cost, because you need to maintain the lubrication of this unit, as it is a rotary equipment. Whereas vapor absorption machine, it's a stationary equipment. There is no moving component as such. These pumps are all canned motor pumps, like absorbent pump as well as the refrigerant pump. So absolutely there is a very little maintenance cost associated with the vapor absorption machine. Also, there is no noise and vibration for absorption machine, whereas in electrical chillers, being it is a rotary equipment, there will be certain amount of noise as well as vibration. These are couple of advantages of vapor absorption machine. As it has been mentioned, low operating cost as vapor absorption machine, it is also termed as vapor absorption heat pump, runs on low cost heat source like steam, hot water, which is available in abundance in sugar industry. Like lot of sugar industries today are working on the power generating mode. So all these places, the low pressure steam which is extracted from this turbine outlet will be close to 1.5 bar or even 5 bar in this range. So all these steam sources can be used as a heat source for operating this vapor absorption machine, and the power is already generated from this steam, and practically this steam is available at a cost of say 40 paisa per kg steam or even 30 paisa per kg steam. Majority of sugar industry is having power plant, and hence vapor absorption machine could run on low pressure steam and reduce the dependency on electricity. At the same time, you can generate power. The power which is getting generated from the turbine, you can sell it with, and there is a profit because of that. So instead of consuming power to operate your electrical chiller, you can straight away sell that power into the grid and do some business and use the low pressure steam for operating this vapor absorption machine. Steam generates power which gets utilized for cooling. VAM saves power for other utilities, or you can straight away sell it to the grid. Efficient performance at part loads, as the machines are designed to run at stepless modulation in the range of 20 to 100%. what we want to say that the machine can take load up to 20% of its actual capacity, and being VFD attached to the absorbent pump, the part load efficiency till 50 to 60% will be more than the 100% efficiency. This is one of the area which we have found out as a waste heat which can be utilized for using into the vapor absorption machine, which is nothing but the flash steam or flash of the juice which is coming from the clarifier, and every sugar industry having clarifier is releasing the amount of flash which is close to around 105 to 105 degrees centigrade presently, which is getting dumped into the atmosphere. There is no recovery happening on this flash. For a study, we can consider a 300 tons, this is TCH actually, which has been wrongly mentioned as TSC. This is 300 tons cane crushed per hour plant, and typically considering 8% of it, which is getting, which is actually converted into flash. So considering 100 TCH plant, we can generate close to 300 TCH plant, we can generate close to around 2.4 tons of flash steam per hour. And the capacity which can be designed on this 2.4 tons of flash, which is coming at around 105 degrees centigrade, we can generate 300 TR equivalent of cooling by using this flash into the vapor absorption system. So presently the flash which is getting dumped into the atmosphere can straight away give you close to around 300 TR, considering 300 TCH plant size, which is a great opportunity for the entire sugar industry, which can be getting consumed into your either air conditioning requirement or even for drying the sugar. These are a couple of applications where the vapor absorption machine is already running in some of the sugar industries, which is the control room cooling, which is an air conditioning application, comfort cooling, which is for the corporate office or the office building, which is also associated in the same premises, and for the sugar drying and grading. This is area where we can use the either hot and dry air or cold and dry air for sugar drying and grading application. This is a process cycle, which is you guys are well aware of this cycle, where presently a lot of industries using hot and dry air for doing the sugar drying. Certain industries, they are using cold and dry air for doing the same application. This is a typical feasibility study for a 100 TR vapor absorption machine, which is compared with a electrical based compressors. Typically electrical compressors in all the sugar industries, they are working on a reciprocating chiller. So typical power consumption of a water cooled reciprocating chiller for 100 TR is equivalent to 90 kilowatt. Whereas for a 100 TR machine, the running power consumption will be close to 1.3 kilowatt, and steam requirement will be close to 380, considering 4 bar to 10 bar steam pressure, and considering a cost of around 0.4 rupees per kg of steam after generating power, we can see the total operating cost for a vapor absorption machine which is considering 1.3 kilowatt of power and 380 kg of steam. Steam is available at 0.4 rupees per kg and power will be available at around 5.5 rupees. Considering the selling price of a sugar industry to a grade, we are considering 5.5 rupees. So power cost as well as steam cost all put together, it will consume close to around 160 rupees per hour to generate a 100 TR equivalent chiller. Whereas a compressor will require only electricity. For 100 TR chiller, it will consume close to 90 kilowatt. Considering 5.5 rupees as a power cost, it will consume close to 495 rupees per hour to generate 100 TR. So there is a straight saving of more than 235 rupees per hour, which comes out to be around 10 lakhs rupees in a year, considering 3000 hours of operation of this vapor absorption machine or compressor. So there is a straight saving of around 10 lakhs for vapor absorption machine, and the feasibility study also tells you the payback, simple payback for this machine will be not more than 1.5 years. Considering the IRR calculation, it can further improve the cash flow because this vapor absorption machine attracts 80% depreciation in the first year. And considering the income tax slab of around 37.5%, you can straight away get the income tax benefit in the first year itself. Also, this is being a green product, one can go for a CDM credits also. But today, considering the situation for all the CDM projects, we will eliminate the fact that there is any kind of benefit because of CDM application. So just by considering depreciation benefit itself, the overall cash flow or the IRR will be much better. As it has been mentioned here, all the additional benefit apart from the simple payback are like this is a green technology, as water is getting considered as a refrigerant. The machine can attract 80% depreciation benefit in the first year itself. As there is no wear and tear, this machine doesn't require much maintenance as such. So considering an AMC also, this is not going to be more than 80,000 to 1 lakh per year. Now this is all about generating chilled water which is getting consumed into the either process or in the air conditioning application. There is another product which works on the same lithium bromide water principle, which is termed as the heat pump. Even though it is pump which is mentioned in this NAM, in this entire heat pump nomenclature, this is the same cycle of the absorption principle itself, but only thing pump is the name which has been reflected because of the following reason. Is a device that pumps heat from the lower temperature to medium or higher temperature using the high grade energy or the low grade energy. So this is how we can reflect. So groundwater, ground tank is there. With the help of pump, we are taking this groundwater at a low potential to a high potential, which is a terrace. And that is the reason pump is a terminology, because we are pumping something from low pressure to a high pressure. So as pressure is related to the temperature, we can also say that the pump is a terminology which is used for transferring heat from low temperature to high temperature. This is how actually a vapor absorption based heat pump works. This is an application area where we want to have a 30-degree water which can be heated up to the 90-degree. This is a typical application for all the power plants or the boiler which is running in a sugar industry, where the condensate which is not coming to the boiler has to be considered from the makeup water itself, and the makeup water will be close to around 30-degree, which has to be taken to say 105-degree. Out of this 30 to 105-degree delta T, we can take this 30-degree water into heat pump, by which we can bring it up to 90-degree, 95-degree with the energy conservation on its evaporator side, which is nothing but the cooling water heat. So this is typical presentation of heat pump, where there are three streams actually. One is your application stream, which is generating water at a high temperature from low temperature. This application can be used for your juice heating itself or for the feed water heating of the boiler water itself. And the other stream is the waste stream, which is typically available in all the sugar industry, which is cooling water heat. The cooling water heat which is getting dumped into cooling tower. For example, say 38-degree water is getting dumped into cooling tower, and cooling tower is supposed to bring it back to 32-degree, so that this cooling water will be used into the process or the condenser of a power plant or for the electrical chiller or the vapor absorption machine. So by dumping this heat into cooling tower, we are rejecting this valuable heat unutilized. At the same time, the cooling tower will lose some amount of water because of evaporation losses or the drift losses and the blowdown losses. So there is water which is also getting lost into the atmosphere. The moment we are using this valuable heat into the heat pump, being this is a closed circuit, now cooling tower will be in a standby mode. The entire heat will get dumped into the heat pump, so that there is no heat loss to the atmosphere. At the same time, there is no water loss into the atmosphere, being this as a closed circuit. So these are the two circuits. One is the application of 90-degree or 95-degree. This is a process requirement or the feed water heating application. Second stream is the waste heat, and third stream is going to be the active heat, which is in this case, we consider it as a steam. So considering 1 kilocalorie of steam, which is used for creating 1.7 kilocalorie equivalent hot water. So we are actually saying 0.7 kilocalorie will come from the waste steam. Whereas in all other ways, if you generate 1.7 kilocalorie, even though we consider 100% heat transfer, you have to use 1.7 kilocalorie equivalent of the heat, which is the steam. Whereas we are saying in this cycle, we are only consuming 1 kilocalorie. So there is a straight saving of 0.7 kilocalorie, which is equivalent to around 30% of the saving. So 30% saving can happen because of the heat pump, apart from the water saving, as well as the cooling water fans that will also be in a stop mode, and we can have an energy conservation on the basis of less electricity consumption in the entire system. This is a typical presentation of vapor absorption chiller versus vapor absorption heat pump. In vapor absorption cycle also, there are 3 types of streams. One is the application stream, which is chilled water. If we consider this as a Q1, and the other stream, which is a live steam, live heat, as a Q2, as a principle of refrigeration, this Q1 plus Q2 should get rejected into the cooling water system, that is Q3. So Q3 is nothing but Q1 plus Q2. Whereas the same cycle is getting repeated for heat pump, only thing the streams are slightly different. In the heat pump, the evaporator side of the heat pump now is based on the cooling water heat rejection. So cooling water heat is coming into the evaporator side. The steam is still getting consumed into the active heat cycle, and the condenser side is actually generating the application of hot water. So we can get a hot water from the condenser side. So by the same principle, Q3 is equal to Q1 plus Q2. The same principle applies for heat pump also. So Q3 is nothing but Q1 plus Q2. So Q3, which is an active heat, is equivalent to the energy conservation by considering the cooling water heat, which is getting dumped into the heat pump, and the active heat of the steam. This is how we are saving the energy, which is equivalent to the heat which is consumed in the cooling water circuit. Going by simple payback calculation, if we consider around 10 cubic meter of water, which is supposed to be heated from 30 degree to 90 degree, consider this as an application of feed water heating for the boiler, because the 10 cubic meter of water, which is not coming from the condensate recovery, so we need to have a 10 cubic meter, which is a makeup water or the DM water, which is coming from your DM plant, has to be heated from 30 degree to 90 degree or 105 degree, out of which, as heat pump is, we can limit the heat pump up to 90-95 degree. Above that, it will not be possible to generate heat from the heat pump. So we are considering 30 to 90 degree as an temperature rise in the heat pump, and the same is getting compared with the conventional system of deaerator tank, where the actual steam is getting consumed. So the steam requirement for the heat pump for this application of 10 cubic meter water, for heating it from 30 degree to 90 degree, we require close to 722 kg of steam, whereas in conventional radiator you will consume close to 1111 kg of steam. So considering the steam cost of 0.4 rupees per kg per hour, we can have an operating cost for heat pump is close to 288 rupees, whereas for deaerator it will consume close to 444 rupees equivalent steam. Considering 3000 hours of operation in a year, you can save close to 4.7 lakhs of rupees. And the same heat pump is also applicable for 80% depreciation benefit in the first year. And as being it is also a lithium bromide water cycle, there is no wear and tear, the refrigerant is pure water, so again it will be a zero global warming potential. As it is mentioned, there is no CFCs involved, it uses water as a refrigerant, so there is zero ozone depleting potential. These are a couple of slides which shows that that the sugar industry is well aware of the vapor absorption technology, and these are a couple of slides which tells us that the vapor absorption machine is working in all these areas. This tells the name of the sugar industry, the number of units which is working in that plant, and this is the nominal TR capacity of the vapor absorption machine. This is a region where this plant is located, and the category on which this vapor absorption machine is running, and this is the year of installation in that plant. So you can see these are couple of around 10 to 12 installation. This is a partial installation list in the domestic market of India. There are certain installations which are also happened in the export market, majorly into Thailand. Thank you. This is all from my side in the presentation session. You can also note down my email ID so that in future you can directly contact me. Now we can have a question answer session.